answer is all of the above. And we have a prize for whoever said all of the above. Dave Hyde. Now, there's kind of a depressive sort of atmosphere around this country right now.
Oh yeah.
And the depressants I don't think are quite enough.
I've had this done before.
Okay, all right. What this is, you realize I come from a long line of psychiatry. This is your own personal electric shock therapy. And whenever you're feeling down, you can plug these into your ear, right here or where?
That part doesn't work anymore.
And Dave, I want that back, or otherwise I'll never make it home. Okay, this popular phrase, "go ahead, make my day," was first uttered by A. Clint Eastwood in the movie Dirty Harry, Fred Rogers in the PBS classic Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Actually, the entire quote was, "Go ahead, make my day, you little bastards, and won't you be my neighbor?" I didn't do this. Or C, Red Dog Hayward whenever he caught someone in the parking lot about to light up a cigarette. And isn't it interesting how much Red Dog looked like Clint Eastwood when he was young? I had no idea. And we have...
Alda Pedro.
No. Good. Okay, who wins the prize? Come on, don't be shy. Me. You. Okay, the winner is Ron Fisher. What Ron gets is an official Make America Great Again prize. And it looks good whether you're wearing it to church or to prison. Now, 50 years has exacted a real physical toll on us. We've had our joints replaced, our organs taken out. We're all packing around our prescriptions in a U-Haul. But old age also affects us mentally. In fact, some mornings, it's just not worth chewing through the restraints. Now, to fight off aging, we eat a lot differently than we did back then. This was lunch or dinner in 1968. Remember gluten? High fructose corn syrup? Red meat? Trans fats? Remember lactose before someone invented intolerance? Those were the good old days when food was all unnatural. This is dinner in 2018. And dessert is your choice of statin with a cherry on top. Now, in high school, our nightly routine was applying Clearasil, brushing our teeth, and putting in our retainer. We all did it, okay? Nothing to be embarrassed about. In 2018, missed a slide, sorry. In 2018, our nightly routine has changed a little bit. We inject a little Botox, we take out our teeth, and then we apply our CPAP mask. We've all done it, I know. Now, we didn't exactly win the Nobel Prize in football. And Skyline made us feel like second-class citizens because we never beat them. But to show them there's no hard feelings, 50 years later, between Olympus and Skyline, we're going to build a wall between Olympus and Skyline, and Skyline's going to pay for it! Build a wall! Build a wall! Build a wall!
Okay, I've been waiting for 30 years to say this. I finally got it. Minch has been making fun of me ever since high school that we lost to Skyline in football the 3 years we were there. He's been making fun of me and all the guys that played football. So last night, in talking to Al DiPietro and to Dennis Bays, the 3 years we were at Olympus, we were 12-0 against Skyline in baseball and basketball. Yeah. We never lost to them in wrestling, and Dennis said we never lost to them in tennis. So, heck with them in football. We killed them in everything else.
Okay, don't build the wall! Don't build the wall! Ron knew that was coming. Well, then there's plenty of us like me and Glenn and Craig who are too chicken to play. All right. In 1968, we faced being drafted into our country's armed forces. In 2018, we faced being drafted into our country's space forces. In 1968, some of us were draft dodgers. Now we're all just old codgers. In 1968, many of the boys said, "Hell no, we won't go." In 2018, we say, "Hell no, we can't go." I didn't like that one. Sean wrote it. I'm lying, of course. In 1968, when we wanted to go to the fun house, we went to Lagoon. 50 years later, when we want to go to the fun house, we go to physical therapy. Now, I'm sure you're interested in a recent study from the New England Journal of Medicine, the most distinguished medical journal in the country, the swimsuit edition. Researchers have discovered that women who have gained a few pounds live longer than the men that mention it. Researchers have also discovered that after graduating from high school, 1 out of every 3 men is just as stupid as the other 2. Okay, now I got to tell you a little story. I had a crush on somebody in high school. When I was a junior, I had a crush on Diana Wiley. And Diana was a year older. She was one of the student body officers. And every time the student body officers of the year ahead wanted some scut work done, they'd call me. And what they'd do is they'd send Diana in to say, "Brian, wouldn't you like to pick up the trash from the homecoming dance? Wouldn't you like to paint posters for the men's association?" Blah, 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 blah. They'd send Diana Wiley in, and she'd do this. Brian, she'd stick out her leg. If Diana had said, "You look sexier with your arms cut off," I would have gone out and got a chainsaw. So after a couple months of this, I got up the courage to ask Diana out. I said, "Diana, how about you and I go to a movie?" And she sidled up to me and she said, "Brian, I'll go out with you when pigs fly." Well, Diana, this isn't a new era where people can take comfort animals anywhere they want. And Diana, pigs can fly. So call me. Wherever you are, you call. In 1968, if we wanted a good laugh, we might watch The Producers. In 2018, if we want a good laugh, we can watch BYU football. We'll get there. Trust me, we'll get there. We'll get there. In 1968, if we wanted a good cry, we could watch Dr. Zhivago. In 2018, if we want a good cry, we can watch Utah football.
One more. There you go. There you go. Oh, yeah.
For some unknown reason, drops the football. And you can see
All the way back. All the way back.
We get both sides, okay? All right. In 1968, if we wanted to be scared to death, we could go watch Psycho. In 2018, if we wanted to be scared to death, we can go watch a Psycho. That's the only political joke I'm going to tell, okay? You had to give me one. Just one. Just one. No, that's art.
That doesn't count as a political joke.
Ron, that's neck art. Okay? In 1968, this was the hottest ride at school. In 2018, this is the hottest ride. And by the way, for those of you who have had too much to drink, your Ubers have arrived. In 1968, for homecoming, we had tremendous, the best bonfires this valley has ever seen. We made bonfires great again. In 2018, some idiot is going around the state claiming that pollution is bad for us. In 1968, if we wanted to socialize, we'd go hang out at the mall. In 2018, if we want to socialize, we hang out with our cell phones. In 1968, if we wanted to go to the movies, we'd go to the Motorview Drive-In. Remember that? Yes. On Wasatch Boulevard. We'd go to the Highland Drive-In. All right. Yeah. Famous making out place. Or the Villa Theater. In 2018, if we want to watch a movie, we can watch it on our cell phones. On the way to work. In high school, if we wanted to prove how tough we were, we'd go drag state. And we'd use our bare fists and go pick a fight with the West High cheerleaders. And they always won. In 2018, if you want to show how tough you are, you use your bare thumbs and unfriend someone on Facebook. In 1968, if we wanted to meet someone in hopes of getting a date, we might go hang out at the old mill. Now, notice the person in the corner without the shirt on. That's not me. That is not me. Kessler, is that you? Kessler is the only kid I know who was built like that in high school. Well, the old mill is still there, but we're not. Now, if we want to meet someone new, we hang out on Tinder. If you're a woman and you want to find someone who is lean, physically fit, climbs mountains, loves the outdoors, loves to fish, is ambitious, travels to exotic places, you can find him on Tinder. You can. If you're a man and you want to find a woman who is rich, physically fit, dresses well, loves your dog, and doesn't have bothersome stepkids, you can also find just what you're looking for on Tinder. In 1968, we might pursue our fantasies with the opposite sex in the backseat of a car. Now, not me, of course. These are things I heard from my friends. 50 years later, sex is once again a fantasy, now pursued for some strange reason in separate bathtubs. And this is important. If your resurrection lasts longer than 4 hours, you should call your doctor immediately. In 1968, our parents decided where we were going to live. In 2018, our kids will. In high school, we learned, whoa, what did we learn here? We learned there's a page missing. Forget what we learned in high school. In high school, we learned idealism, tasted politics, and grew a social conscience by listening to legendary protest music. Over 50 years ago, Peter, Paul, and Mary knew the answer was blowing in the wind, and we didn't know how right they were. Okay, now we're going to end here in just a second with our bucket list. When people get to be our age, they're supposed to have a bucket list. You all know this. And it's supposed to be filled with all kinds of exotic and dangerous things that you can brag about, either at church or to your parole officer. Things like bungee jumping off the Eiffel Tower, water skiing off Niagara Falls, or climbing Mount Everest naked. Well, I suggest a slightly more tame bucket list, something like this. Can we just remember one password? Just one. Stop worrying and go away for the weekend and deliberately leave the oven on. Yell at least one kid to get off your lawn, even if it's your own grandkid. Number 4, give your life savings to a Utah County pyramid scheme. Number 5, join your assisted living center's marching band. Number 6, streak through Temple Square during LDS General Conference. We've all done it. Put all your meds in a blender and make yourself a prescription smoothie. Crowdfund your next facelift. Choke the next person at a party who brags about their bucket list. And last, and certainly not least, staying alive. Pardon us while we have something else to share with you regarding to staying alive. We'll be back.
Good evening, Olympus High School class of '68. Welcome. I have to say, that's the most embarrassing thing I've done in 50 years. Who'd have thought after 50 years... Who'd have thought after 50 years my role would come down to helping Brian get into his toga in the men's room.
And nobody does that better than Chris, let me tell you.
May I just say, Brian,